sometimes in the clinic, sometimes in the school, in the social worker, and the last point is the police department. The police department is possible to put a restriction or make investigation about the sexual abuse, because I need to consider everybody. The abuse no is only sexual, it's verbal, it's intimidation,
physical, emotional, sexual. There are all kinds of different abuse. Now you can see yourself on the camera.
Greñuda.
On Friday, the hair salons are supposed to open.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah. John really needs a hair salon. Okay, so are you going to do a monologue, or are you going to do a program where you just talk about domestic violence?
And the first time, I need to know the person, the channel, the interest for the La Sagrada Familia and support to the person who has this problem. And the second time, the person is possible assistant, physical or for telephone or for phone, and no problem emotional she has. And another thing, the person if is possible coming here or don't show the face, only talking about the problem.
Mm-hmm.
But I think so the more important is recognize the kid about the problem is for the kid and for the senior. And the more close person is the family or the relative is in the same place.
See, abuse can be divided into 3 or 4 areas. There's elder abuse,
yes.
And that's usually or primarily fiduciary abuse. In other words, an elderly parent and the child is handling their money, and they're not spending the money on the elderly, they're spending it on themselves. That's fiduciary abuse. Then you've got
the treatment he brings some many elderly people is abuse. Only don't put attention, only live in the corner, don't clean, don't bring clothes, don't bring attention.
Mm-hmm.
The government is supposed to pay for this.
Mm-hmm.
Including when the government pay for assistance to the person. Mm-hmm. Many persons only put the attention.
Now, now, am I close enough to my mic? So I don't want to get my breathing in there. Am I close enough to my mic?
That's fine. We're gonna have to work with it.
One of the things I'd like you to think about, this is something I've thought about, is the self-esteem of the victim. There are cultural components that, like for instance, Mexican women are supposed to be Marianismos, long-suffering, serve themselves last, take care of everybody else first. Self-esteem issues of I'm nothing without my man, or I'm nothing if I'm accused of being a bad mother or a bad wife. So I would like to see there be some sort of a self-esteem component to it.
I pretend exactly the one thing. I broken, I cut all bad relations, because the violent domestic is progressive, and the first time you watch in your family. So suppose it's normal, suppose it's the manner to life. I remember the word very popularly used.
Más me pegas, más te quiero.
O pégame pero no me dejes.
I don't know that one, but I'll learn it if you. What I'm looking at as a priest, as a bishop, as a doctor of psychology, is to develop people's self-esteem. A lot of your Protestant churches scream about how sinful everybody is. That's not my job as a priest. My job is to help lift up every person. And that's why, for instance, I asked a little girl in the congregation, what do you want to be when you grow up? And she says, oh, I want to be a house cleaner just like my mommy. Or I asked a little boy and he said, I want to be a gardener like my daddy. I'm talking to them about, hey, where are you going to high school? Where are you going to college? No parent, I think all normal parents want their children to do better than they did. Like with Navi or what's the other granddaughter? Mia. You don't want them to work at Hilton hotels. You want them to go to college and get good jobs.
This is my idea.
Yeah, because I've found oftentimes women feel, all women, that they can't leave an abuser because they have no way of supporting themselves. They're tied to his support. So I'm hoping that at some point, I mean, you're not going to handle domestic violence in 1 or 2 sessions, but that at some point you're attempting to develop the self-esteem of the woman victim. So, and also another thing to point out, I think, and like I said, you can plan it any way you want, is if you're a woman and you're being abused by your husband and your daughter sees that.
But this is the normal situation for my daughter.
Yeah.
I supposed to stop because I don't like he passed the same situation like that. This is necessary and I need the support, not only the church, for everybody. And it's important, the value for the woman is the same to the men, and the men same to the woman.
And also, something to remember is there is an abused women's shelter in West County. It's a big, deep, dark secret so that abusive husbands don't go there and drag their women out. So there are places that these women can go with their children. There are safe houses. If there aren't good enough safe houses, maybe La Sagrada Familia needs to rent a house where abused women and their children can live. And that's something that we can go for a grant if we find it's missing.
And I need to talk to you, Monsignor, and the 2 times, maybe you don't remember the lady coming to request the help for abuse. And both.
From Fremont?
No. For Richmond one and another for
That's right. Don't say it because this is
I don't
being
remember
filmed.
exactly what it is the city, but it's close to Concord.
Uh-huh.
After the support to the church, both relations and the sister with his husband, he changed. One is complete because one day the old one, he quiere dejar atrás. What is the person assistant? His husband. And after he's in this position, no more complaint, no more hit, no more abuse. Change the life. She don't coming back to the church, but
why not?
The idea I support the idea to change the life was complete. And for another, maybe you don't remember the wife of the black guy. He don't try to say nothing about his mom. Has supposed to have the control with his daughter. Now it's pregnant with another children, and the life he changed 100%. Little by little, I go to change.
And we also need, as a deaconess and as a priest or a bishop, we need to change people's cultural perspectives. You went dead, John.
Mm-hmm.
You went dead audially.
That's fine.
No, we need to change the culture. We need to, it's like with the Aviles family. The oldest daughter came to me for advice. Too. She's now in graduate school, and the father's treating her like she's Eileen or Ruby. And I suggested, why don't you go to your dad and say, hey, I'm still your daughter, but I'm an adult daughter. and maybe we should develop an adult relationship. And the man got highly upset. So, yeah, I realize that it's hard for a mom or a dad to let go of their kid. But when the child is an adult, and I mean, she's in graduate school, it's not like he's her patron anymore. I mean, I've been the patron to a number of talking. Plus, this is all going to be saved on YouTube. So if a woman is not being abused now, but finds herself in an abusive relationship, she can go back and re-watch the
And
YouTube
exactly
videos.
the Avilés ladies, he started to look in the same person, the same man that the father, because this is only the square or the relation, you know.
You know, children are an interesting dynamic of the family. A little girl's first love, her first boyfriend, of the opposite sex is her dad. I mean, not a lover type, but she looks up to him. This is the most important man in her little life. So if he sees daddy hitting mommy, then this is going to register back in the subconscious, and subconsciously she's going to be attracted to men like her father, and she's going to become abused. Little boys see daddy abuse mommy. Hey, well, he's looking at this role model, his father, and if his father can hit women, why can't he?
And he look at the same woman is little similar to his mother.
So there's a whole lot of information that can be gotten. I have Ileana, who is a licensed marriage family therapist. She's the same as Jacinto, only she's a woman. She's Tex-Mex. She was born on the border of Texas and Mexico, but her Spanish is impeccable.
And another lady, he working for the Contra Costa Police and domestic department.
The Family Justice Center is where we met a lady who said she would be agreeable to come and talk. And then I had a Mexican female police officer with Richmond PD who said she would be willing to come and talk about domestic violence from the police officer standpoint. And one of the big problems, we just lost audio again. One of the big problems police officers have is when the abuse occurs, the woman says, arrest him, put him in jail. 2 or 3 weeks down the road, when they've been all kissy, huggy, and made up, she no longer wants to press charges. So what's happened is the police go out, they have a camera, they take pictures of bruises, whatever, cuts, bruises.
Or recorded the conversation, because sometimes the abuse is only verbal.
And they turn it over to the district attorney. So the district attorney is getting to the point where he's saying, look, you told us to arrest him. Now, either you prosecute or I arrest you for a false police report. So women have got to put themselves first. You know, I know very few cases where domestic violence where the husband promises he'll never touch the woman again and he doesn't. And in some cases where that happens, he starts abusing the daughter instead of the mother. So, but I mean, there is such a wealth of information out there that I don't think Latinos are aware of. Another important thing is the police are not going to ask the woman, are you documented or undocumented? A lot of women don't call the police because they're not in this country legally. Richmond PD, San Pablo PD are not going to ask for any papers. I was on a call with a female officer. A man called 911. My wife hit me. We went on the call. The officer told me to stay in the car because the domestic violence call is the most dangerous. And she went in. He said, I did. I want her arrested. And she said, why? My wife hit me. lady cop was real cool. She said, well, why did she hit you? Oh, because I hit her first. They hooked him up and took him to jail for domestic violence. She was defending herself. But a lot of women won't go for it
because they're afraid they're going to be deported. And that's not happening in this state.
And especially when the women don't have the paper, it's illegal in this country. The men